This is Late Night. We hope you're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. The Trump administration yesterday released new dietary guidelines. Oh, yeah, put him in charge of it. We're about to get real loose on the definition of eggs. That's right, the Trump administration released new dietary guidelines that flips the food pyramid. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth unveiled a drink pyramid. President Trump called on the U.S. yesterday to boost military spending in 2027 by more than 50% to $1.5 trillion. So it sounds like he's planning to go in and take that Nobel Peace Prize by force. President Trump was set to take a photo with U.S. attorneys today at the White House, but as usual, Giuliani misunderstood.
Well, no, it's definitely white.
86-year-old Democratic Congressman Steny Hoyer announced today that he will not seek re-election. That's probably for the best. A good rule of thumb is, if no one else on earth has your first name, you're too old for the job. You know what nobody's ever said? Which Steny? During an Oval Office interview last night with the New York Times, President Trump said that he expects the U.S. will be running Venezuela for years, or at least until it's on E. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s cell phone went off yesterday during the White House press briefing, and his ringtone was a duck quacking. Maybe not the best ringtone for a guy pushing phony medical advice. Quack, quack. Oh, that's me. Yeah, we know. We know who the quack, quack is. In a new episode of his podcast, Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce said that he won't make a decision about retirement for a month and added that he's, quote, just being a regular human for a couple of weeks. You know, a regular human who's engaged to Taylor Swift and contemplating retirement at 36. Just regular dude stuff. Former NFL player Matt Khalil has filed a lawsuit against his ex-wife that claims her public comments about his penis were an invasion of privacy and subjected him to unwanted attention. This'll help. There's no punchline, by the way. I'm just waiting for everyone at home to finish Googling Matt Khalil penis. If you're wondering which way it trends, he brought it up. Finally, the fast food chain Taco Bell today unveiled the Volcano Quesarito, which is made with beef burrito wrapped in a quesadilla filled with cheese, nacho sauce, and its new volcano sauce, and then later, you'll make your own lava. That was the monologue, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a great show for you tonight. He's an excellent actor. You know him from The Wire, Luther. You know him from films like Beasts of No Nation and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He stars and executive produces Hijack, which premieres its second season January 14th on Apple TV. Our friend Idris Elba is here, everybody. And you've seen her in the films Black Bag and Back to Black. She stars in the critically acclaimed HBO series Industry, whose fourth season premieres this Sunday on HBO and streams on HBO Max. Marisa Abela will also be joining us. Before we get to that, you guys, there's a growing national outcry over the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis and the Trump administration's attempts to lie about it. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Let's not forget, everybody, Trump lied from the jump about the scope and focus of his mass deportation program during the 2024 campaign.
We got to get the criminals out first. We're going to get the criminals, the murderers, the drug dealers. We have to get all of these criminals, these murderers and drug dealers and everything. We're getting them out. We're going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals.
Yes, we're going to start with violent criminals, then regular criminals, then small-time criminals, and then, of course, fashion criminals, and yet you just know Trump's going to give Kid Rock a pardon. Since when is it legal to turn the American flag into a onesie? If you could tell Betsy Ross that Kid Rock was using her design to catch farts, she'd probably say, but he's no kid. He does look like a rock, though. Also, what does ba with the ba mean? The point is, Trump said he would crack down on violent criminals, drug dealers, and gang members unless you beat up a police officer on January 6th, or your gang is a right-wing militia that stormed the Capitol, or you're a financial criminal who swindled Americans out of millions, or you're a Honduran drug kingpin who, quote, flooded America with cocaine, took a $1 million bribe from El Chapo, and bragged that he would stuff the drugs up the gringos' noses. That's real. That's a real guy that Donald Trump really pardoned. Even Scarface was like, that guy should be in jail, man. That is one little friend I will not be saying hello to. And that is exactly as far as I'm willing to go with my Scarface impression. If you win the presidency by claiming you're going to deport drug dealers and then you pardon a notorious drug dealer, you better have a damn good explanation. So let's listen to the president and hear him out.
You pardoned former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez and let him out of prison, even though he was convicted in a massive international drug trafficking scheme. How is that zero tolerance on drug trafficking?
Well, I don't know him, and I know very little about him, other than people said it was like a Obama-Biden type setup where he was set up. He was the president of the country. The country deals in drugs like probably you could say that about every country.
I'm sorry, probably you could say that about every country? No president vacillates more between parent and teenager than Donald Trump. Like, one minute he's all, we have to stop the scourge of drugs from coming into the country. And the next he's like, everyone's doing it, Mom! Also, is that explanation supposed to make us feel better, saying you don't know the guy you pardoned? Were your MAGA followers supposed to use that line when they were arguing with family at Thanksgiving? He pardoned a drug kingpin, Uncle Rick. Whoa, 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 okay, relax. It's not his fault. He didn't know the guy. He just signs whatever they give him. He thought he was pardoning Kid Rock for turning the American flag into a slanket. But don't worry, after the dangerous drug kingpin was released from prison, the president got up to speed.
One of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail.
You studied it very quickly, and then you studied it in great detail? He's basically paraphrasing the lyrics to Kokomo. I took it fast, and then I took it slow. With regards to pardoning the drug kingpin. That's where I want to go. Also, feel free to flip those two the next time you pardon a criminal. I mean, what's the rush? We wanted to get him out quickly because if he missed another day of work at the drug dealer factory, he was going to get his pay docked. So the sales pitch for Trump's immigration agenda was to deport violent criminals and drug dealers, but of course that was just a cover for a much more draconian plan run by White House lab assistant Stephen Miller. Turns out Miller has a much different focus from what Trump promised voters he would do.
Stephen Miller held a meeting screaming at ICE officials to arrest more undocumented immigrants. Miller setting a new quota of 3,000 arrests per day to include more than just migrants with criminal records.
The conservative Washington Examiner, a conservative paper, has this quote out of a private meeting where Stephen Miller is screaming at agents, what do you mean you're going after criminals? Why aren't you at Home Depot? Why aren't you at 7-Eleven?
Home Depot and 7-Eleven? What happened to violent criminals? The only criminals at 7-Eleven are teenagers who use fake IDs to buy porno mags. And if a teenager is still buying a physical porno mag in the year 2026, they shouldn't be arrested. They should be celebrated. Kids don't read anymore. Social media has destroyed their attention spans. If they're building literacy and learning to love print media by illegally purchasing a copy of Jugs and Tugs magazine, then so be it. By the way, Jugs and Tugs is not a real magazine. But it could be if you or someone you know would like to license that name from us for a small royalty. We would be happy to work with you. Just send us an email at Seth_Meyers at Jugs and Tugs. And yes, there's an underscore because someone else already had Seth Meyers at Jugs and Tugs. I mean, what are the odds, right? And sorry, I'm being told that Jugs and Tugs has already been shut down. Guess we'll just have to move it to X, the app where everything goes. The point is, Trump lied about his immigration agenda. He said he would focus on violent criminals. Instead, his administration has blanketed the country with federal agents disrupting neighborhoods, Home Depots, 7-Elevens, and even schools.
Roosevelt High School students speaking out after they tell our news team ICE agents were there yesterday. A student telling our news team ICE agents arrived at Roosevelt High yesterday afternoon and blocked part of the road and chased people near the entrance. We're told some students were pepper sprayed during the incident. The student tells us someone was tackled by federal agents.
Yesterday, I was at Roosevelt High School, which is in my district, and there were two people who were taken by ICE, both of them U.S. citizens. They pepper sprayed children and teachers outside of the school.
They pepper sprayed students and teachers at a high school as if a teacher's job isn't hard enough. Now they have to deal with out-of-control ICE officers shooting pepper spray at them. We pay them $40,000 a year. We give them coffee, make them buy their own classroom supplies, and put them to work in 60-year-old buildings filled with asbestos so they can beg hormonal 15-year-olds to stop scrolling on TikTok. Then we demand that they teach our kids what a fractal is, even though we don't even know what a fractal is. I wouldn't know a fractal if it slapped me in the face, which is unlikely because I'm almost certain fractals don't have hands. And to meet the arrest quotas the Trump administration has put in place, ICE has had to lower its recruitment standards.
New reporting is raising serious questions about the Trump administration's push to rapidly expand the ICE workforce. According to The Atlantic, more than a third of new recruits are failing basic fitness tests, push-ups, sit-ups, even a short run, with senior ICE officials using words like pathetic and disaster to describe the process.
To pass, recruits must do 15 push-ups and 32 sit-ups and run 1.5 miles in 14 minutes. That shouldn't be that hard.
Oh my God, he sounds just like my trainer. You sure you want me to do 5 reps with these 10s, Kevin? That shouldn't be that hard. As a general rule, if you have to lower your standards to recruit people for the thing you're doing, that means you shouldn't be doing it. It's why the Marines are the few and the proud and not just any schmuck with jeans and a face mask. And this behavior is lawless and out of control. And on top of that, most of the detained migrants have no criminal record. In fact, more than 170 U.S. citizens have been caught up in the ICE dragnet. So it probably won't surprise you to learn that most Americans really, really don't like what they're seeing.
He's underwater across the board. Immigration, a key issue for him, underwater by 6 points.
On immigration, I think the running down with ICE agents in New York City, pulling people off landscape trucks or the roof or roofers, probably not as popular as putting criminals in jail.
Also, landscaping is hard work. I find it hard to believe that criminals would spend all night dealing drugs and doing violence only to set an alarm so they can wake up early to get started on Gary's hedges. So the Trump administration lied about their deportation plan, and now they're lying about the ICE shooting in Minneapolis. The Trump team knows that what we can all see with our own eyes is indefensible, which is why they have to lie about it.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
2 things. First of all, that's a blatant lie contradicted by the video evidence we can all see clearly with our own eyes, probably because we're not wearing oversized cowboy hats. Why is Kristi Noem always in some sort of cosplay outfit? Seriously, look at all these different fits she's tried on for her stupid photo op. She loves camouflage so much, she even uses it on her lectern. Why are you disguising the lectern? Whoa, Kristi Noem can make a microphone float. You guys, these days suck. Trying to find a way to talk about the world we live in with levity sucks so much. But I do think it's important to finish with this. A 37-year-old mother in a Honda Pilot was shot dead on a residential street, and they're calling her a terrorist. The same people who called those who stormed a federal building heroes, the same people who supported pardoning those who beat Capitol police officers while ignoring their orders to stop, are telling us that a woman shot dead in her own car, in her own community, is a domestic terrorist. And when they do that, they're also telling us who they are. And it is our job to never forget what they've told us. I'll certainly never forget because
I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail.
This has been A Closer Look.